What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But a huge thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. It really does mean the world to me. And we did have a couple of new members yesterday. We did have Pinguis Queen, we had Phoenix Harrison, and over on Patreon we had Michael Rosario. Thank you so much for your love, support and time, and for just spending time out of your day with these stories means the absolute world. And let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. And our first story comes from Independent Task 42. Am I the arsehole for checking my blood sugar at my desk when my coworker has a severe blood phobia? I, 24 male, enjoy my job and have two co-workers, Megan, 25 female, and our new co-worker James, 23 male, who just started. The three of us each have our own office space, but because we have to frequently collaborate on work throughout the day, we are often at each other's desks. I am a type 1 diabetic. I give insulin and check my blood sugar throughout the day as needed. I give insulin through a pump, so that's not an issue. Checking my blood sugar involves pricking my finger to draw a drop of blood. The blood gets sucked up into a test strip that is connected to a glucose meter, and the meter displays the reading. The whole process takes like 10 seconds. I was checking my blood sugar in my office right when James walked over. Immediately, his face went white. He looked like he was about to puke or faint, or maybe both. I was like, dude, are you okay? He told me that he has a major blood and needle phobia and gets therapy for it. I explained what I was doing and why it was necessary, and he said it's freaky that I have to make myself bleed multiple times a day. He told me he never wants to accidentally walk in on me checking my blood sugar again because he could pass out. I said that if I'm checking my blood sugar and hear him coming, that I can call out a warning like, give me a sec. He said that won't work. Just knowing that I'm doing that just before he comes over is enough to freak him out, and that he would be stressed that I might not hear him walking over. He told me I should check it in the bathroom from now on. I told him I don't think I should have to do that and it's unsanitary. He said another option was if I only check my blood sugar at certain times, say 9 AM, 12 PM, before eating lunch and 4 PM. That way he'd know when to avoid me. I said these things can't always be predicted. I need to check it if I feel my blood sugar going high or low. He said that he understands that I have diabetes, but that he also has a special need, his blood phobia, that needs to be accommodated, and that he doesn't want to have to avoid me at work and only talk to Megan for fear he might see me checking again. He said he had talked to HR about this and that he had tell them that I refused to compromise with him. That was last Thursday before the holidays. Tomorrow I'm thinking of going to talk to HR before James does, but first I need to know that I'm in the right here. So am I the arsehole for not being more accommodating of James' blood/needle phobia and checking my blood sugar as needed at my desk? Edit, to clarify something, James cannot see me test my blood unless he is literally standing in my doorway. It's not a communal style workplace. I do not test in common areas, only in my office. Now I think there's a simple solution to this one for me is that, he just calls you gives you a little call on your phone before he comes into your office. This is your space, that he shouldn't be just popping in when he wants to and then making demands that you check your blood at certain times. Isn't that really dangerous anyway? So yes, in my opinion, not the arsehole in this one. And I'm not saying that the other guy shouldn't be accommodated because, phobias should be accommodated too, in my opinion. But he's being totally unreasonable in this situation to me. But Sleepy Feline says, not the arsehole, your blood sugar being too high or low could literally kill you. You did offer to compromise, you offered to warn him if you heard him coming over. The bathroom is not sanitary for checking blood sugar. Is he also going to ask HR to remove all the paper in case he gets a paper cut? And Talathea says, this is a medical condition that far supersedes his phobia. And Dipped Churro says, not the arsehole, go to HR, just knowing you're doing it makes him uncomfortable. He isn't making sense. Check your blood sugar at certain times. Then says, oh look, it's 12 PM, just in time for OP to... passes out. And Jasmadoodle says, is your HR decent or incompetent? Because if they're decent, you should go in and talk to them. Lay out what happened, tell them exactly what you need to be able to check your sugar when needed in a convenient and sanitary space, and then say, my needs and his are clearly in conflict. How do you propose we solve it? That approach has the added advantage of you coming across as cool-headed, cooperative and a problem solver, but mostly it means you clearly communicate your needs so you don't have to shoot down unworkable suggestions one by one. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And our next story comes from old Suzanne. Am I the arsehole for sharing my 23andMe results? I, 50 male, was recently gifted a 23andMe kit. I've always been interested in my heritage and knew I was of mostly German and Polish extraction, with some Viking heritage, but I figured it'd be fun to see if anything else popped up. No real surprises, confirmed what I already knew. Discovered a bit of French and Italian ancestry that made sense after thinking about it. Discovered a trace of Mongolian ancestry, which also made sense as the horde got around. Essentially, my family is so goddamn white, we blend into snow. I was entertained by the results and the map, so I sent them to my brothers, 48 and 46, and posted them to Facebook. Cue all hell breaking loose. Middle brother's friend started messaging me, asking if I was sure those were my results. If I was sure I was actually my father's kid, telling me those results were impossible. They also contacted youngest brother to ask what he thought about the results, and were confused when he replied that there were no real surprises. We were confused by the uproar and reached out to middle brother. He is livid that I shared my results without asking him. He's evidently been claiming Native American heritage for decades. Youngest brother and I were completely floored by the notion, as we have always been well aware of our heritage. All of our great-great-grandparents arrived in the US between 1908 and 1912. 4 of our great-grandparents were children at the time, the other 4 were born in the US. None of this was a secret. We even knew most of our great-grandparents, so what the fuck? Middle brother has always kind of lived in a fantasy world, but this is just bizarre. He's infuriated with me and says I have no right to share his private information. Except it's my information too, and I don't feel obligated to keep my heritage secret. He says I've embarrassed him and I should have asked if sharing it was okay. Am I the arsehole? Hell no, you're not the arsehole in this one. I mean, your brother is the one that's been living in some sort of dream world at the minute, pretending his heritage is Native American and all this kind of thing. I mean, why do people do this? Because you're going to get found out eventually, like something like this happens, and then you get called out for it and look like an arse in front of everyone where you've told all these lies to. And like you said, it's your heritage too. You don't have to check with anyone. If you want to share your heritage, you go for it, right? But let's read some of the comments to see what they say. I remember we had a story like this a little while back, a few months back. 5854 Life says, not the arsehole, it's not your job to perpetuate your brother's fantasy life. And Take says, not the arsehole, he should be the one embarrassed for claiming Native American heritage for decades without even confirming it. It's a different story if it was his results, but you can do whatever you want with the information about yourself. I really hope he hasn't been using his made up native ancestry to get benefits. That would be really bad. It's horrific to claim to be part of a heritage that struggled so much for his own benefit. It's like blaming someone else for exposing you lying. It's more about him than you. And Connie Mute says, best case scenario, your middle brother's been faking Native American heritage for social clout. Worst case, he defrauded a scholarship fund or something and had to keep up the story afterwards. Either way, he's the arsehole for lying and for acting like your shared genetics are his private information. You didn't know you were sharing something that could embarrass him because he lied to you too. Clear cut, not the arsehole. And CNTL Burn says, not the arsehole. Chief middle brother has clearly told some whoppers to his friend group, else I doubt they'd have such exaggerated reaction towards your news. I mean, questioning whether you are your father's son is a bit much, so I wonder what stories he's told them. While that is unfortunate, I'm sure the fallout embarrassed him. That's not on you. Now I turn this one to you guys. What would you do if one of your family was claiming like Native American heritage and it wasn't true? How would you feel about that? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And our next story comes from Chicken or Egg Throwaway. Am I the arsehole for refusing to reimburse my neighbour for what they claim my cat did? I live alone and have 3 cats. For the most part they are strictly indoor cats, but the youngest, Carmine, likes to go outside and lay in the sun when it gets nice out. My backyard has a 4-foot chain link fence, so I usually let her go and sit under my patio if she wants, and I'm usually out there with her. But there are a few times where she is really comfortable in the sun and I leave her out there alone for short periods of time. I've never once seen her try and get out of my yard, even though I'm sure she could get over the fence if she tried. My next door neighbours have a 7-foot tall privacy fence on their side of the property line bordering mine. A few weekends ago, they got a small chicken coop with 3 chickens. They have an area fenced in with chicken wire for the chickens to hang out in, and they have even offered me some of the eggs they've already gotten. This last Saturday, it was really nice, so I was hanging out on my patio and Carmine started whining at the door to be let out. It was the first time this year that she wanted to come outside. She was just laying in the sun with me for a while, but I had to go inside to work on something in the kitchen and she refused to budge from her sunny spot on the patio, so I left her there. I was inside for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. When I went back outside, Carmine was still in my yard, but she was wandering around a bit. About an hour later, my neighbour knocked on my door and said that one of their chickens was badly injured and they have to bring it to the vet to likely have it put down. She said that her 9-year-old daughter saw Carmine attacking it and tried to break it up, but the chicken was still badly hurt. I told her that I did have Carmine in the backyard earlier, but I never saw her try to get out of the yard and I didn't see any evidence that she attacked anything. I asked her if it was possible that her daughter was mistaken about what she saw. I mean, she's not even 10 years old. My neighbour got upset and asked if I was calling her daughter a liar. I said that I didn't say that, but that sometimes kids get mistaken about things, especially in traumatic moments. She just shook her head, kinda laughed and said wow, then left. Later that night, both she and her husband came over and said that their chicken had to be put down because of its injuries. They said that their daughter is adamant that Carmine was the cat who attacked it. They gave me a copy of the bill from the vet as well as the cost of the chicken and said it was my responsibility to pay for it. It was hundreds of dollars. I told them that unless they have proof it was my cat, I will not be paying anything. They then said if I was refused to pay, they will have to look into small claims court as well as notifying animal services about the incident. At that point, I politely asked them to leave my property, and they did. I haven't heard anything from them since, but I am concerned that this isn't going to be the end of it. And then there's a comment which I want to cover straight away. So it's from the Quiz Forgettable saying, "You're the arsehole. I was unsure until I read about your cat having a scratch and a dusty collar, which is pretty damning, and you left both of those facts out of your original post." Then Stevenson comes in and says, "For others here, the comment being referenced is, I didn't notice any blood, but I did see a few feathers when I went back there, but those could have easily been blown in the wind. I've never seen her perch on top of the fence, but she could have probably get over there easily enough if she wanted to. The only thing I did notice was that Carmine was licking a scratch on the back of her leg a lot, and that her collar was kind of dusty, but that could have been from her rolling around in my yard." And Mercury Jellyfish also says, "You're the arsehole, your cat did this. You left it unattended at exactly the time another person claimed to see it doing a thing. That's a hell of a coincidence. Where I live, cats are allowed to roam freely, and there's barely a wild bird in the area that's not too large for a cat to kill. They're adorable little murderers, sure, but if you leave them unattended, a lot of birds and rodents are going to die. Now sure, you didn't mean for this to happen, and you probably couldn't predict that Carmine would sneak over there and maul a chicken, but I have to say, you have to admit this is more than plausible that Carmine did this, and it's on you to replace the bird and take care of the vet bill, because it was your inattention that caused it." And Zippy Zabu says, "I'm going, you're the arsehole. A 10-year-old kid is not an infant and they presumably know what Carmine looks like. If they saw your cat kill the chicken, why would they lie about it?" To which Quirky Bumblebee also says, "You're the arsehole. The neighbours don't need to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. In small claims court, they just need to prove more likely than not that your cat did it. Your cat had the motive and opportunity. Carmine was near the scene of the crime and had defensive wounds. She had dust matching the chicken coop dust on her collar. There was an eyewitness to the attack that implicated Carmine. It's reasonable to say that it's 51% likely that Carmine did it, which is all they need to show. I love cats and my cat sunbathes too, but cats love killing birds. They just do." And Ostrich is on Fire says, "You're the arsehole and you know your cat did it. She got a scratch on her leg, collar all got all dirty and feathers in your yard. That plus the kid naming your cat. It takes some real mental gymnastics to think it wasn't your cat." And now I turn this one to you guys. Do you think it was OP's cat that did this? After the comment as well, as it says, one comment said it was pretty damning, and I think it is. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And our next story comes from Pitch Black Mirror. "Am I the arsehole for posting a photo with my fiance at his graduation before his mum did? 4 years ago, my then fiance graduated from his master's degree and I travelled to London with his parents to attend the ceremony. It was one of the top schools in the world and his parents fully paid for it. They also paid for his apartment and for his daily expenses. He grew up in a poor country and his parents were not very rich. They made a lot of sacrifices to make sure he had the best education. They managed to grow their business, but they continued to live a simple lifestyle so they could pay for my fiance's master's degree. I was very proud of him and I wanted to be the first to post about his graduation online. Right after the ceremony, I posted a photo of the two of us on Facebook and Instagram. Since I tagged him, most of his friends and family congratulated him on my post. A few hours later, my mother-in-law also posted a photo of my fiance with her and his dad. There were much fewer messages on my mother-in-law's post. My mother-in-law never told me this, but I found out recently that she was deeply hurt that I was the one who got to announce her son's milestone to the world. I don't think that I should apologise since she never told me about it, and I had the right to post about it since I was his fiancée, now wife. I also had no idea that it was important for her to be the first one to post. My friends are split on this. Some say I am the arsehole since I robbed his mum of her moment and that I should be more sensitive, while my other friends say that it's such a petty thing to be concerned about. Am I the arsehole? I think in this one, I think you knew how much it means to people to be able to post this kind of thing, because you said in the second paragraph, I wanted to be the first to post about his graduation online, so it was almost like a race to you as well, that you wanted to be the first one to get on there and get all those likes and views and all that kind of thing. You may have been proud, sure, but it did come across like you were just trying to be the first one to do it because, you know, bragging rights kind of thing. And I do kind of feel sorry for like the mother-in-law because she obviously was very proud and they made a lot of sacrifice in their lives and they would have liked to do that too. But at the same time, I almost want to go with an everyone sucks here, because this should have been down to your fiance, and when he wanted to make that post, when he wanted to make his announcement of his graduation, sure, the parents did contribute a lot of money towards it and all this kind of thing. This was his work he put into it as well. And I think he should be the one that gets the ultimate privilege to post about his life on his social media, not anyone else. So I'm going to go with a controversial everyone sucks here. But Quick says, soft, you're the arsehole. It wasn't your choice to make. It was your fiance's good news and it should have been his decision. It's pretty rude to call dibs on announcing someone else's good news. You seem very concerned with everyone in your life knowing their place and you having the right to certain things. You should care a lot more about family and a lot less about superficial stuff like who gets social media credit. Your priorities are all wrong. Your fiance's parents worked very hard and sacrificed much to get him where he is in life. You should be grateful to them, not competing with them. And idly browsing replies to that saying, OP is also clearly lying. She says in the post, I wanted to be the first to post about him online. So she knew it'd be important to members of his family, not just her, so she raced to do it before anyone else could. I'm not surprised her mother-in-law was hurt, to be honest. Also, being his fiancé at the time didn't give her the right to post anything. As you said, it was his news and it is his family's achievement. OP sounds absolutely insufferable. And Unit Healthy says, to be honest, I didn't even know this was a thing until one person in my extended family posted a family wedding photo as an act of spite against another family member who would have preferred to be the first to post. Anger resulted. I really hate to say you're the arsehole, but you snatched a small moment of glory from a poor couple who sacrificed a lot, in the interest of showcasing yourselves as a couple, when you have a whole lifetime to do that. And Saran says, you're the arsehole. This was your fiance's time to post. It wasn't yours or his mum's. It's an arsehole move to post someone else's news first on social media. Also, why are you his fiance, then his sister, then his wife? Now in the comments you're a fiance again. Who is really posting? Are you actually the graduate himself but posting as the wife to make a point and forgot to change some of the details? And Snakes Can't Wear Pants says, it's kind of a petty thing, but you're the arsehole. You wanted to be the first to post about his graduation, so you really didn't stop to think or care about how anyone else felt. That if this was something you cared about, it might also be something his parents who sacrificed and worked and scraped and saved to make this happen for him would also care about. And honestly, if you didn't know at least a little that she cared, you wouldn't have raced to post something immediately after the ceremony to make sure you were first. At the end of the day, you can't genuinely criticize her for caring about this because you cared about it just as much. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Who do you think is the arsehole in this situation? Do you think everyone sucks here like me or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories. And if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as I cannot express how much it really does make a difference to the channel and to each one of these videos. And thank you for doing it. And if you want to support the channel further, you absolutely can, but never any pressure to do so by clicking that join button down below for YouTube or clicking the link in the description for Patreon. It means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.